Start streaming.
I love how we're wearing almost the same color.
I don't. And now that you pointed out, you could see my
Yeah.
nipples. Don't be looking at my nipple. All right. We'll do the normal thing. We're gonna hang out, wait. I'm not gonna be able to like watch the whole stream from my phone, so I'm gonna have to go off of your computer because I need to bring up on my phone what we're gonna be talking about today.
Yeah. All right. I got to send this link to somebody. Hold on, please.
For real?
What?
You doing the chicken song?
It's stuck in my head.
All
I
right.
get random stuff stuck in my head all the time.
It's the blonde hair.
Yeesh. Jeez.
Oh,
Doobie.
we had something else that we were gonna do today, but I'm so excited to do something new that we're gonna switch them around. We're gonna do the other episode tomorrow, and then we're gonna do something new today that was actually suggested to me by one of our Patreons yesterday.
Yay.
And Megan, you missed it. Yesterday, we discovered the possibility of a new active serial killer
I know.
in New England.
I'm so excited. I
I
mean, I
this
oh, it sounds so bad.
sounds really messed up, but I get where you're coming from.
I mean, it interests me very much being crime related, I guess.
Crime related. How are you related to crime?
I'm not you right there. Okay. I think I'm done. There we go.
Wonder if I should me since we have time and we're waiting.
Yeah.
Let me play with our camera a little bit.
Okay.
Back it out so you can turn on the lights. I know how much
Well,
you
then I
love
have to
that.
turn on all the things, and I'm not prepared for that.
You'll be all right.
I have to get up. Hello?
Whoa, what just happened there?
I think we have a dead one. Whoa. Going all the way over. We have one that's dead. We need things.
There we go.
Perfect.
I'm gonna end up like putting some kind of tape on these so they don't rattle around the fitting here.
Is that what's doing that?
Yeah, it's because they sit loose. I'm also gonna need you to pull back out that bandage wrap that you have.
Um,
I'm gonna use it on a tattoo gun.
I think it's in the bottom of the boys' bathroom closet.
I'm gonna use it for grip.
That makes sense. New
Oh,
tattoos.
yeah, for you.
So excited.
What about me?
You can do your legs.
Yay.
You can teach me. I'll
No,
do it.
mm-mm.
I do it.
No, I'm good.
Why?
Mm-mm.
Come on.
Nope.
Please let me like practice on the skin or something.
No, it's my thing, not yours.
Excuse you.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
You haven't done art since like
I don't
seventh
care.
grade.
I don't care.
Yeah, I care. I care. Anyways,
It's basically just tracing after you have a thing to trace. Nobody said I had to draw that part, right?
you know there's skill involved, right? No, like I mean tattoo skill. Like you can't just.
I understand that, but I want to learn it. How are you going to learn it if you don't do it? Right?
Anyways, welcome to Fourth Grade Podcast.
Hello.
Wonder if wonder if your grandmother's watching.
I don't know.
If you are and you don't know how to comment, hello. How
And
are you?
happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. 35 years old. Very nice.
I know.
35. I don't know how that works because you're older than 35. But we just, yeah, 35. All right. We're going to give it about 5 more minutes and we're going to get into this week's episode of For the Booze. And don't forget, we're going to record another episode tomorrow because
Yeah,
we missed last week.
we did.
So this week, you too. We also need to do some Patreon episodes. We got some makeup to do there too.
Yeah,
The holiday really messed things up.
I know. Even though we recorded on the holiday, we still went out and did some stuff. And I've been working a lot. And
Yeah.
yeah.
You can tell by the alone lives that I've been doing.
Okay, so the way it works, if I work early morning shifts, which I normally work,
Yeah, we can record in the
I
afternoon.
can record in the afternoon. I just race home, get ready really quick, and then we do that.
She smells like French fries the whole time.
I do. However, if, well, my schedule changes a lot. So I work mid shifts and then closing shifts and all the things. But generally, I work mornings. But recently, I have not. So yeah, I hear it. Stop doing
Yeah,
it.
it's pissing. It's really making me mad.
What are you playing with? What is that
It's
contraption?
it's the Allen wrench for the mic stands, and then I took the little. I don't know. I always have to be doing something with my hands when we're doing this.
Oh man.
Um, but anyways, I don't know, Eric, if you're watching, but Eric, one of our Patreon subscribers, suggested to me yesterday some new ideas for the show, and one of them I'm actually very excited about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is exactly what he meant, but this is how I took it, and this is how I want to do it. And I don't know. I'm not going to commit to anything and be like every week or every other week or blah blah blah. It's going to be when it happens. But we're going to cover the most famous ghost story from each year, starting from 1900 moving forward. If I can't find one for a year, we'll skip one. That's
Yeah.
fine. But but I love this idea, so we can
I'm
see how
excited.
the idea of paranormal has changed throughout
I'm
the years. So what
excited.
up, Brad?
Hi, Brad.
How you doing? I think that's what it says, Brad, right? I don't have my glasses
Yes,
on.
it does. I don't
Brad
either, but I can read it.
B. So that's what we're going to start with today. I found a story from the year 1900.
I am so stoked.
I can't
Good.
find
Glad you're doing good, buddy.
I can't find the original article for it, but I found the story of the story. So,
That's so exciting. So I asked my husband here last night when we were talking about this idea. And I said, "Oh, from like every 10 years or like how do you want to do that?" And he's like, "No, from every year." And I was said, "Oh, okay." And then he goes, 1901, 1900. Yes, I get the concept of every year.
yeah, but you also said every decade more than once. You said it
No,
like
I did
three different
not.
ways, like you didn't understand what I meant by every year. Who you guys gonna? Oh, this is really driving me nuts.
Well, get your arm off the table.
I can't. I don't understand why it's even doing it. This has never been a problem before.
Is it loose? Mute your mic, please. Hello? Thank you. Goodness, it was very loud in my headphones. So, we are going to be starting an episode here quickly soon. So, during the episodes, we don't comment, talk, anything. I know you're making mine do it. So, we
Just have to
can
try not to touch
record
it.
for our actual podcast. So, we will chit chat after. Hopefully, everybody stays, enjoys the story live. We love doing that. So, yeah.
Yep, yep. Hold on. Talk to the people.
Um, he's obsessed over this microphone
It's
right now.
bothering me.
I understand that, but you touching yours is making mine do it now. It's definitely down at the bottom.
I know, but I'm trying to like position my microphone in a way that maybe it'll make it do it less. So, all right. I think this is about, we've waited long enough. It's been almost 10 minutes.
We have waited long enough.
So, we're going to go ahead and for those of you who have never been here for an episode,
A live
if
episode.
you're live, we will not be able to correspond with you in the moment. So we're going to do the episode, and if you have questions, stuff, you can fire them off. That's fine, and we'll talk to you at the end for maybe like 10 minutes or so, and then yeah, that's how this will work. So
I'm
you
excited.
basically you're just here for what we used to do without anybody here.
Yeah,
That's it.
this is our, you get to look behind the scenes on how we record an episode.
That's right. That's right. So
However, Megan doesn't read anymore because Stephen did so much editing beforehand because I am a sucky reader out louder.
she's not a confident reader is the problem.
I am not. When I read to myself, I speed read like crazy.
Yeah, she can read faster than me,
I read so fast, except out loud.
but technically, like we're doing a podcast, so it's not is read as fast as you can. It's not. But all right, let's. What do you say? You want to do this?
Yeah,
All right,
let's do it.
let's go.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the
For the
Booze.
boots.
I saw your face while I did that. You're funny.
Oh man. So welcome back
Hello,
to another
hello.
episode. Sorry we couldn't have this out by Monday. Holiday week kind of threw a wrench in things, but we're here now,
That's right.
and that's what's important.
We are here, and I'm very excited about this
Showing
episode.
up now. We're here in the moment.
Right now, this moment. I don't know where you were
What other
going with
moment
that.
were you thinking?
I don't know where you were going
Do you
with
know
that.
what moment means?
Excuse me. Anyways,
So we're going to try something a little different today. We had another episode lined up, which we're still doing. We're gonna do that tomorrow.
yeah,
But one of our Patreons suggested that we do store. I still don't really understand to the extent of how he meant this, but he said, headlining stories from history about paranormal stuff, and I was like, oh, I really like that idea.
yeah.
So the way I interpret it is, I'm gonna find what I can find as the most popular story from every year starting in the year 1900. I don't know how frequently we'll do these. Could be every other week, could be once a month. I have no idea. They'll come out when they come out. And I did find a story from the year 1900. Now, I cannot find the original article of this, but the source for this is actually very reliable.
Oh, okay.
It's this article was written back in 2020 by Kenny Biddle. Now, Kenny Biddle is a very well known name in the paranormal,
Yes, I know.
spectrum.
I know that name.
You know,
Yes.
he's all about getting the truth. I'm going to read an article. So I did not write this. This is directly from this article from Kenny Biddle. Okay, so I want to make that very clear. I'm not claiming that to write this.
Hmm.
This isn't my story. This is just what I could find about this. And the story today is called The Ghost Hand of 1900. I have never even heard of this before.
Nope.
So I have no idea what this is going to be like.
I'm excited. I'm so excited for this idea.
This is going to be an interesting one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It says almost every Friday night I host a social media live stream, the Skeptical Help Bar, in which I invite viewers to ask paranormal related questions and return to my own skeptical opinion. Although the show is often in the format of general Q&A, I occasionally have a guest or a particular theme. One week, the theme called for viewers to send in their favorite ghost photos so that I could analyze them in real time during the show and provide some insight into the small details that often reveal the true nature of a captured ghost.
Okay.
Now
I
this
like it.
now
I
there's
like it.
a creepy like old photo of a bunch of women. Just if any of you listening, just Google the ghost hand of 1900, you will be able to find these pictures that they pop right up. It's like the first thing.
Okay.
A friend and frequent guest of the show, JD Sword, sent me an old photograph I had not seen previously. Now the photograph is of 15 young women lined up in 4 rows, most of them posing with their arms crossed. Only one stands out in a playful defiance, one hand on her hip and the other down by her side. The expression on her face seems to say, quote, I'll pose however I want, just try and stop me. Now, the women are dressed in similar skirts, the various tools hanging from a rope tied around their waists. And I mean, that's legit because this is during a time where women are supposed to, they're just,
I
ex-
want to see.
they're just
Let me see.
expected to be in a certain way. This is the lady he's talking about.
Okay. Yeah, I see her. I
She's
see her.
very different from all the other ones.
Everybody else is sitting with arms crossed, and she is definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely is the, I don't want to say the odd one out, but I just mean in terms of like she's doing something different.
Hmm.
And everybody else is stone faced serious, and she looks like she's about to tell a joke or something.
Yeah, she's beaming,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody else is super serious.
Which is honestly how most photos were back then,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially of women, because women were treated like dirt.
Yep.
Now, this image has gained some popularity within the paranormal community, not for its historical record of 1900 working women, but because of an alleged ghostly hand that has no body attached to it. If you focus your attention on the women to the far right of the second row from the bottom, you will notice upon her right shoulder a human hand, a right hand to be precise. We can see three fingers and a thumb, complete with a fingernail, looking at the two women behind her, who both have their arms folded. It is obvious the hand belongs to neither of them. So the mystery is, where did the lonely hand come from?
Mm.
I need to see this
Yeah, I want to
actually.
see.
Let's see if I can find it. He said second row. Oh, it's right there.
Whoa,
You
hold
see it?
on. Let me see.
The it,
For sure.
and it
Look
looks
at the. Is there anybody next to this lady? Like right here?
no.
No.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Wow.
try to explain this because it all right, here's the best way I can explain this. The hand looks like it's AI generated. It doesn't look natural at all. It just looks weird.
It's like almost like she's holding like the hand is holding a pencil, I guess, but it's on this lady's shoulder.
I don't even think it looks like it's holding a pencil. Oh, if we would
Oh,
have just scrolled down.
oh, look at that. There
It
it is.
looks it just doesn't look right.
It doesn't.
It doesn't look added in at all. Like it looks
Genuine.
original to the picture,
Yeah.
but I don't it just looks unnatural. I don't like it.
It's kind of creepy.
It's weird looking.
It's kind of creepy.
It just doesn't look like it belongs.
No, not at well, obviously. One lady standing behind her visibly has her arms crossed and there's no one around this other
The
lady
only
with the
thing I
hand on her
could
shoulder.
think of is like, is could there be like a person standing behind her, ducked down?
Like,
But the hand looks like like an adult hand if it's going to be a hand.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. It's very weird.
super weird.
The first step of my investigation was to verify whether the photograph was a genuine 1900 era photograph or a modern hoax. I first checked Snopes.com because they have a large database of urban legends, hoaxes, and folklore, dating back to when they started in 1994, Snopes 2020. However, a search yielded no results whatsoever. Looking over the photograph, there did not appear to be any obvious or subtle indications that it was a modern fake meant to look antique. I mean,
It looks like a genuine photograph from the
it
1900s.
looks legit.
Yeah.
Nothing like you can usually kind of
Pick
you
out something.
it's sometimes they're hard, but you could see like, all right, it's a modern photo. Especially modern photos are very easily faked.
For sure.
It doesn't take a whole lot to doctor them because I mean, it's caught up with technology. But to do it to a 1900s era photo and make it look legit is harder because then you have to like match that grainy quality
Yep.
without it looking like it was placed in there. And this thing
Hmm.
looks legit. This thing really does look legit to me. So if it's a fake, it's a really good fake.
Yeah, absolutely.
I began using keyword searches and eventually found high resolution scans of the image of both Shutterstock.com and GettyImages.com. The Getty Images page reveals the image was uploaded July 31st, 2005, and carries the following information. Historical geography, 1900 Ireland. Here are some happy Ulster girls from the linen factory of North Ireland's chief city. Irish linen long ago made a name for itself, and many of the finest, I thought I said freest, finest handkerchiefs and lingerie came from this source. The flax fiber is derived from the stalk of the plant. Each girl in the photograph has round her waist a cord sustaining various implements used in her work. Now, credit for the photo is listed as I have to do a capital S, lowercase e, capital M. No idea. Who appears to be an anonymous contributor to the website. I've never seen initials like that.
Me either.
Like, why do you?
S, like capitalize some and not the other. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's very strange. Now, the photograph first gained attention when it appeared on belfastlive.co.uk as part of a history section titled Historic Gallery of Old Belfast Trades, posted April 29th, 2016, MGM Limited 2020. Through various news outlets, the story is that a woman named Linda sent the photograph to belfastlive.com and identified the woman with the hand on her shoulder as her own great grandmother, commenting, quote, great to see an old photo of my granny in the bygone years photo when she worked at the mill. She was Ellen Donnelly. I wonder if she's related to me.
I don't. I don't know.
My great grandmother's last name was Donnelly.
Oh, wait. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's weird. There's actually information about this Ellen Donnelly. This is name Ellen Donnelly. She's a female. She was married. She was 36 at the age of at the time of this photo.
Okay.
Her birth year was about 1875. Her birthplace was Belfast. Her residence date, house number. Dang, dude, you got her
A lot
house
of
number. She had
information. Yeah.
4 children. Well, apparently one of them did not make it. She was married for 9 years. What is inferred marriage date? Is that like divorce, maybe? That
Oh,
was in 1902. Maybe that's the official. I have no idea what that means.
I have no idea either.
And of course, she was Roman Catholic
Of
because
course.
she's Irish. I attempted to locate Linda to verify her identity and her connection to the photograph, but have had no success as of the submission of this article. But I will continue to look. I did some further digging and was able to locate an Ellen Donnelly, who would have been 25 years old in 1900. I think that would have been around about right. Lived in the same country as the factory, which was in Antrim, and is listed as a damask weaver according to the Census of Ireland 1911. That would have put her at the exact right age, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
For those interested, damask weaving is described as the hand weaving of a patterned damask fabric on jacquard looms. No idea what that.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Come on, you're a girl.
So,
Historically speaking, this is your work. I'm just playing.
sir.
I'm just playing.
Uh-uh.
Hope your grandma's working or watching, and I hope she agrees.
Grandma, if you were watching. No, no.
I am right.
No, no. No, 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 no.
Now, because there are no indications the photograph is a modern hoax, let us take a closer look at the phantom hand and any clues to how it came to be. It certainly appears to be a hand, yes, with
Hmm.
3 fingers and a thumb laid out as they normally would if someone had their arm around the young lady. I'll refer to her as Ellen from now on. My only issue with that statement is if you go on to look at this photo, it looks like a normal hand. It almost looks like rubbery. Like, and I don't mean by it's an old photo, it's black and white, you can't tell by color. I just mean by the positioning. Something about it to me looks off.
It's it almost looks, like when you get older and like people who have arthritis in their hands and they kind of crinkle up a little bit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, okay.
That
I can go
that's what
along
it
with that.
looks like.
I could get on board with that. I see what you're saying, but it just doesn't look like a 36-year-old lady hand
No,
or
no, it
even
does
a
not.
40 or 50-year-old lady hand. There's something about it just looks weird. And you can only really see the hand. There's like no arm.
There's nothing. It's literally just The
It's just a
top portion of a
yeah,
hand.
it's a floating hand,
Yeah.
basically. Well, it's
It's
not
so
floating, but
strange.
it's laying on the lady's shoulder.
Mhm.
So, where is the rest of this mysterious person? The most likely explanation is another young lady was removed from the photograph and some details were drawn in to cover up the edit. There are several clues that lead to this conclusion. So, there is a possibility that it's not a hoax. It's a doctored photo that somebody removed somebody from.
Okay, but my question would be when?
That that's a good question,
You
and
know
I
what I
wonder I
mean?
wonder if we'll get some kind of conclusion to that because
Because if it's a
you
1900s
can
photo,
they did doctor photos back then.
wait, how well though?
I mean, I don't know because I'm not from 1900, but I do know
Are you
that
sure? I
yeah,
mean, you are old.
man. So anyways, I don't know how well they could do it, but I do know that they could doctor photos. Do you have anything to say? No, I didn't think so because your mic's muted now for calling me old.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Before the invention of Photoshop and other editing software, photographs were often retouched by hand by cutting out with scissors unwanted people or objects and filling in the empty space with sections of other photographs or drawings and details with pencil or charcoal.
What?
This was usually a tedious job, with the amount of time involved dependent on the background. In Jocelyn Sears' article on the subject, she states, quote, photographers and retouching specialists would scrape their films with knives, draw or paint it on top of it, and even paste multiple negatives together to create a single print.
Wait.
So they could Photoshop. They just not Photoshop in the way we think of it. There was no programs, no computers,
I
no.
feel like that would be incredibly difficult to
Okay,
do to
it would
make
be.
it come out to be like a seamless photo.
It would be, but it is no more tedious than these people that we see to nowadays that work at museums
Mhm.
that basically bring old historical paintings back to life and they have to match each brush stroke and each color perfectly.
I mean, I get it. I get the idea behind it for sure. I just, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking about retouching in the 1900s, like a picture.
I knew that they had done some kind of like photo editing back in this time. I just couldn't remember how it was done. This makes sense to me, especially like because a lot of the old paranormal photos that like I always go back to this one, but it's just because it's the easiest one to remember. But the brown lady of Raynham Hall.
Okay.
Okay, that was because it was a picture that probably got doubled on top of another picture of a negative, and it came out looking like a spectral lady in the background.
Okay.
Sometimes it's
Okay.
just
Okay.
sometimes it'll be just bleed through on the film, stuff like
Right.
that.
Right. Right. Right.
But it happens, and people have learned over the years how to use these like mistakes as tricks and did them on purpose
Hmm.
so they could fake paranormal stuff.
Hmm. Interesting.
So that's where a lot of I would say that's where a lot of our modern day um, paranormal fakers this is like their ancestry,
Hmm. All right.
so
Okay.
people have been doing it for a long time.
Learn something new every day.
Now, retouching work was tedious and still quite common long before computers came along. This work took place on a retouching desk, which was a hinged easel that had a central wooden frame propped up by side supports that allowed the user to change the angle of the working surface. So it's like an art desk.
Right. Right. Right.
I mean, we have those now.
Uh huh.
The central frame held a piece of glass onto which the negative was placed. Attached to the base, an adjustable mirror or piece of white cardstock reflected light up through the negative. An overhanging piece of wood, sometimes accompanied by a built in side curtain or a piece of fabric, thrown over the whole contraption, prevented light from shining on the negative from above. Wow, that is very
That's
elaborate.
a
That
lot.
is very
That's
elaborate.
a lot.
Although it took some time, photographs could be edited to add objects or scenery changes to change a person's appearance or remove a person altogether.
Hmm. Super interesting. Wow.
And it honestly, this is the contraption. It kind of looks like an art tablet.
Yeah,
That's what it
it
looks like.
really
Yeah, it
does.
looks like an art tablet of some sort.
And then the light would shine through the back.
Yep,
Okay.
and then
All
you'd
right.
cover you'd put this like visor piece up that would go right above your head, and then you'd put a curtain over you.
Yeah. So you could like fully see.
So you'd be in the dark.
Yeah.
But the light shining through wouldn't affect the negative because that's really bad for your negatives.
Absolutely.
And this was, I mean, this little schematic here is from 1905, so this stuff has been around for a really long time.
Wow. Okay.
Now, if we take a close look at our quote ghostly hand photograph, focusing on the far right of the image, Ellen's left, the first thing that stuck out to me was the black outline starting from the collar of her shirt and down to her elbow. When compared to the overlapping areas of clothing elsewhere on Ellen, as well as the other girls in the photograph, we do not see such a hard outline. There are plenty of dark areas throughout the scene, but these are caused by shadows and have a softer appearance. The hard outline along Ellen's arm is unnatural and appears to be drawn in by hand, likely with a graphite pencil. Yeah, I see it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Zoom
man,
in on that a little bit.
it's right here.
Yeah, I see it.
But you see how all the others, I don't know, because this is pretty dark too. But I do see, because like this doesn't look real. It doesn't. That looks drawn in.
Okay.
Like if you
Because
really,
it's way more natural on the other
well, like
side.
look, I think this is drawn in.
Hmm.
I think this whole dress, I think this whole arm piece right here has been drawn in. Because if you look over here, these don't have that hard line and in such saturated black as the shadows over here.
Right.
So it looks different.
Hmm.
And like look at the folds on this arm. Now look at the way that the folds are on this arm.
Nowhere near the same.
No, it's very different. But at a quick glance, you
You
really can't
wouldn't
tell.
notice. Right. Absolutely.
But I do now that I've seen that, I get it.
Hmm.
Because you focus in on the hand.
And not everything
You
else.
don't notice all these
Yeah.
other
Yeah. Yeah.
things. Now Ellen's left arm also appears to be a bit too thin when compared to her right arm. The edge of the sleeve does not demonstrate the wrinkles and folds of the fabric, which I just said because the other one, it looks way different,
Right.
but instead shows a smooth, curved line from shoulder to elbow.
Hmm.
Her left arm, both sleeve and bare skin, are noticeably darker than her right arm, despite the overall angle of shadows in the photograph indicating the light source was on the photographer's right, meaning the arm should not be darker.
Mm.
Which is, yeah, it does, when you look at it, it does really look unnatural. Even the wrinkles on the sleeves seem unnaturally flat, which is what I said, because the other one has like these cross wrinklings going on. And if it's on the same shirt, you would think that it would somewhat be the same.
And if both arms are crossed, both sleeves should similarly be folding and creasing in the same way.
You would think.
Yeah.
Um, Even the wrinkles on the sleeve seem unnaturally flat. In addition, this is an ink blot where Ellen's sleeve ends and her arm begins, and they show you there's an ink blot. And look at her arm. Whose arm is that straight?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, old
Okay.
photographs,
Fair. I mean,
look,
it's fair. I
old
see it with my own eyeballs.
old photographs are black and white, but they don't change the people,
No, no.
unless something really wrong happened, I guess. I don't know. Now, if we look at the area to the right of Ellen, it appears there is a mistake on the skirt of the girl standing behind her. The vertical rope, short dark line, which should have secured a tool to another rope around the young lady's waist, is not complete. At first, I thought it was merely cut off, and upon closer inspection, however, it appears the vertical rope was also drawn in but not finished. I can only assume that the retouching artist thought they were drawing in the folds of the skirt, not realizing this line should have been attached to a weaving tool.
Oh,
So they didn't even finish the little belt thing there.
okay.
I noticed the hair on the right side of Ellen's head is too dark for being on the same side as the light source and doesn't match the rest of her hair. This section of hair looks remarkably similar to the unfinished vertical rope on the girl behind Ellen. I also spotted a significant bald patch. That's harsh.
That's unfortunate
At the
for
part
her
at the
in the
part in
picture.
Ellen's hair. This could be very well be a legitimate detail in how she looked at the time, but it seems too out of place with everything else that has been talked
All
about.
right, that's fair.
Although it certainly makes for a spooky photo, the more likely cause is that another young lady was removed from the image. Now, there are several reasons for such a thing. Perhaps by putting her arm around Ellen, the photographer or employer paying for the photograph was simply not amused and decided to have this extra person removed from the photograph, or perhaps she quit or was fired just after the photograph was taken. We'll likely never know the reason that someone was removed from this photo, but the clues tell us that they were.
Hmm.
With such a tedious job, it's not far fetched to assume the retouching artist either figured they had spent enough time removing the person and deliberately ignored the extra hand, or simply forgot about the hand after spending hours on removing the body. Considering the ghostly hand didn't get any attention until 116 years after it was taken, I can understand the oversight.
Whoa.
And that's the story of the ghostly hand of 1900.
116 years later.
116 years later. Let
That's
me,
that's that's a really long time.
let me see if I can maybe find another story.
Okay. From
Is
like the 1900s?
1901.
1901. Okay.
See, and this is why I had to go 1901, 1902, 1903.
Whatever, man.
Oh
That's a
boy.
very interesting story, though. I never knew that, like, photo editing. I mean, I guess I could see it would be a thing, but I just never understood how in depth it would be. I mean, obviously, they don't have technology and things like that. I totally understand and I get that. But, like, I like your comparison to retouching of paintings because that would very much be something so similar.
I mean, it's almost the same thing
Hmm.
if you think about it,
Yeah.
except now you have negatives involved and stuff, so it,
Right.
it makes
Absolutely.
sense. But the reason I like this, especially for our show, is like because I tend to be more skeptical than you.
Hmm.
And this is what I mean is like you even your photographs from as far back as, the beginning of the 1900s and even before that, people were faking. I mean, okay, but to be fair, I do want to point this out. This wasn't made to be paranormal. This was just a
A
woman.
picture. Yeah.
But photos were you could edit photos back then.
Hmm.
So everybody always wholeheartedly goes into these things. It's like, oh, that's paranormal. But especially if it's a picture from the old days, a lot of things had to be perfect to develop these things.
Right.
And there was a lot of, it's not like taking a picture now where you're like, oh, smile, click, that's it. Sometimes they took hours. Then you had hours worth of developing,
Yeah.
and things went wrong all the time. And
Just posing for a picture,
yeah,
especially a really long time ago, took so long for one singular picture.
but then
It's crazy.
even those ghost lady photos, like the one from Ram Hall, like
Hmm.
they were in, maybe they weren't intentional. I think it was, but there are tricks that these photographers would have known to make these look more creepy than they had to be.
And I feel like somebody who was a photographer, say back in the 1900s, would have to know the equipment, know how things develop, and know how to get specific kind of effects. So if
Yep,
you're going for that kind of a picture, you would know what to do.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, and then you learned from mistakes along the way, like, oh, well, I can make this creepy.
Oh, yeah,
And they did it.
absolutely. Yeah,
Now,
for sure.
I did find we're going to do two today. We're going to do 1900 and 1901. I found a story from 1901, and this is on American Hauntings. Is that it? AmericanHauntings.com, I believe. This is their story, not mine. Like I said, this series is just we're looking for the spooky stories from these times.
Okay.
And this one is labeled called Dead Women Do Tell Tales.
Oh,
The legendary ghost of Nell Cropsey.
that sounds like a terrible name to have. That sounds like something else.
Now, on the night of November 20th, 1901, a young North Carolina woman named Nell Cropsey vanished from her family's home in Elizabeth City. After a frantic search that lasted more than a month, Nell's body was discovered floating in a nearby river. She had been brutally murdered. But by who? Her lover spent more than a dozen years in prison proclaiming his innocence before being pardoned by the governor. Did he kill Nell? And if not, then who did? And why did he commit suicide soon after getting out of prison?
Oh my God.
I mean, he's probably crushed at the
Probably,
person that he
yeah,
loved, and then he spent most of his time in jail. I mean,
a month. They looked for her for an entire month. That was a really long time.
now the story of Nell Cropsey remains one of the strange tales of murder in the state's history, and perhaps the unanswered question that still surround the case are the reason why Nell's ghost still haunts her family home today. Nell Maud Cropsey, that is a rough name.
Wow.
Maud.
Okay.
Nell Maud Cropsey was born in July of 1882. Her parents, William and his wife, Mary Louise, lived in Brooklyn, New York, but in 1898 left the city for the southern community of Elizabeth City, North Carolina. They moved onto a 65-acre farm, and William became a judge in the Pasquotank County. I think that's right. Pasquotank County? I don't know. If you're from the Carolinas, let me know. That's just a rough word. Now, they happily settled into their new home, and Nell and her younger sister Olive became quite well known in the area. They were both beautiful girls and had more than their share of suitors. I hate that. I
Ew.
don't like the way that sounds. Olive began a relationship with a man named Roy Crawford, while Nell was courted by Jim Wilcox, the son of the local sheriff. And by 1901, they had been together nearly 2 years and were talking about marriage. On the evening of November 20th, both Roy and Jim visited the Cropsey home. The two couples spent the evening together, and around 11 p.m., Jim stood up and asked Nell to join him out on the front porch to talk. Everyone else in the house, except for Olive and Roy, was asleep. A half hour passed, and Olive assumed that Nell had come back in the house and gone to bed. Roy Crawford left the house, seeing no one outside, when Olive went to the room that she shared with her sister. Okay. She saw that Nell was not in her bed. She assumed Nell was still with Jim and went to sleep. So they weren't even married yet.
Right. So they just went out on the porch to talk and then nobody saw anything after that?
I'm trying to think of this because, like, if she's dead from this point on, who else would it have been?
Literally no one.
I feel like it would be him.
I'm more curious of what his story of after the fact would be. That would be where I would start
I
for
mean, if
sure.
this is the setup and what happened, then I can understand why he was,
He was the one looked at?
yeah,
Yeah,
because it
100%.
definitely seems like it would have been him.
Yeah.
And I'm having a harder time reading this because this is a black background with white font,
And you need your glasses.
and I don't need them. I'm fine. Around midnight, the Cropsey's dog suddenly began barking loudly. The entire household was awakened and went out onto the front porch to see the cause of the disturbance. But there was no one there. But at that point, Olive realized that Nell had never come back to bed, and her sister was missing.
Mm.
Mrs. Cropsey was terrified, but her husband tried to calm her, suggesting that perhaps Nell and Jim had decided to elope. They had been talking about marriage, and it was not unusual for young couples to run off and get married, he told his wife. Now, by morning, William Cropsey was not convinced that his daughter had run away. Nell had been excited about an upcoming trip to New York. None of her belongings were missing. Her clothing and suitcases were still in the closet. William was sure something was wrong. He went to the home of Sheriff Wilcox to ask questions. Jim had been the last one to see Nell that night. Perhaps he had some idea of where she might be. And when he arrived, Jim was home, but refused to come to the parlor and speak with Nell's father.
Okay. So Nell's dad had to go speak to the person he suspects did something to his daughter,
Well, he went to speak to the sheriff,
which is Jim's dad.
which is Jim's dad.
That sucks.
But it's crazy
That's a sucky
that we're
situation.
leading into this, like, oh, Jim's innocent
Right.
because now he's even refusing to speak to the police. So if he was innocent, then he wouldn't even know she was dead at this point.
Yeah, because he would have just went out on the porch, talked to her, and left, and that was that.
Yeah.
But you're not willing
S-
to say that?
You're already super guilty, my dude. There's
Wow.
just no way around it.
Wow.
Now, angry and alarmed, William went to see the chief of police. The authorities forced Jim Wilcox to return to the Cropsey home and they questioned him for hours. Despite pleas from Mary and Olive, Jim refused to tell them anything. All that he would say was that he had left Nell crying on the porch after a 10-minute conversation. He refused to say why the young woman was even crying, what the conversation was about, or where he had gone after he left the Cropsey home.
What?
A massive hunt for Nell Cropsey began. Law enforcement officers, volunteers, and trained bloodhounds combed the area, searching the forest and the swamps. There was no sign of the missing girl. Rumors began to surface that painted an ugly picture of the relationship between Nell and Jim Wilcox.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, he sounds like a dirtbag,
He's so suspicious.
big time. Now, friends told the police about terrible fights and Nell's fear of Jim's violent temper. They had been fighting more than usual over the last couple of months, and Mary Cropsey told the police that Nell had recently confided that she planned to stop seeing Jim.
Mm.
Oh, dude, she broke up with him and he
Yep.
murdered her.
Yep.
Now, weeks passed with still no trace of the missing girl. Jim Wilcox still refused to talk to the police, and the Cropsey family began to fear the worst. Then, on December 27th, Nell's body was found floating in the Pasquatank River. The river had been searched many times without success, causing many to surmise that the killer had recently taken the girl's body from a hiding place and dumped it into the
Mm-hmm.
river.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he wasn't doing anything gross.
Mm. Yeah.
I just get Bundy vibes when I hear stuff like that.
Yep.
With no other suspects, Jim Wilcox was arrested, and then while in jail, death threats poured into the police station, promising that Jim would be lynched for his crime.
Oh, wow.
To make matters worse, he still refused to account for his whereabouts in the house after Nell disappeared. The autopsy,
Suspicious.
yeah, no shit. Now, the autopsy showed that Nell had been killed by a violent blow to the left temple.
Oh.
Jim's temper was said to be violent. Could an argument have actually turned deadly?
Mm.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I think
Um,
she said something about not wanting to see him anymore, maybe brought it up tentatively, and he got pissed and did something.
I mean, this sounds like textbook violent boyfriend stuff.
Uh, yeah,
I mean, yeah,
absolutely.
I don't know how we're going to get to the like, he may be innocent.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, how do you go
yeah,
from this to that?
you don't.
He is,
You don't.
he's not doing himself any favors
Oh
by
my
not
God.
speaking. You could have at least made something up.
Yeah, said anything.
Yeah, the silence is pretty much your admission of guilt.
Exactly.
Jim waived his right to a preliminary hearing and he went straight to trial. In March 1902, he was found guilty of first degree murder and was sentenced to hang. Hang,
Mm,
boy, hang. Now, before he could go to the gallows, his case was declared a mistrial by the North Carolina Supreme Court.
what?
He was tried again for murder in 1903 and this time was found guilty of second degree murder. He was sentenced to spend the next 30 years in prison. In 1918, though, Jim received a visit from Governor Thomas Walter Bickett. A short time later, he was pardoned and released.
Excuse
Oh,
me.
don't suspend your your guilt. We're eventually going to get to something. I would imagine that's going to say he didn't do it. I mean, he
Please
did, but
share.
and after Jim got out of prison, he met with former newspaper editor W.O. Sanders, who was planning a book about the Cropsey case. Now, whatever Jim had to tell him was apparently so shocking that Sanders made immediate plans to start the proposed book. But it was never to be. A short time after the meeting, Jim committed suicide with a shotgun blast to the head. Soon after, Saunders was killed in a car accident. So neither one of these guys made
Wow.
it.
Wow.
Whatever Jim Wilcox told, they spelled his name two different ways. Now it's Saunders. It was Sanders. Jim Wilcox told Saunders at the meeting what he told him will never be known. So I mean, he must have maybe had
Did you not
something.
write it down somewhere? Please.
It's a
Can we
1902.
like find
Well, he
something?
was probably planning on writing it like as he went listening to these stories. You know what I mean?
Right, 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 right. And I
I
get it, like having a second meeting and then kind of starting from scratch from the beginning,
Yeah,
from what he had mentioned to him, I
and who
guess.
knows how long the story would have taken? You just
Right.
never know. However, it is just one of the mysteries connected to this case. We will likely never know what happened to Nell Cropsey that night in 1901, and perhaps this is the reason why her spirit refuses to rest.
Mm,
For the past century, those who have lived in the former Cropsey home have reported strange occurrences. Lights go on and off, doors open and shut, water rushes from the sink, and even when no one turns the handle, and strange cold gusts of air waft through the house without explanation.
mm,
Standard haunting.
yeah.
Some reports also include sightings of a pale young woman who was seen walking across empty rooms. People passing by on the street have seen the same pale figure looking wistfully from on upstairs windows. One resident claimed to recognize Nell when she awoke and saw the murdered girl standing at the foot of her bed one night.
Oh God.
That I don't like.
Ugh.
Will the enduring mystery of Nell's death ever be solved? After all these years, it seems unlikely, which means that the unfortunate young woman is just as unlikely to find peace that she still seeks.
Mm.
Her lingering presence reminds us uh, that she never truly received the justice that she deserved, and because she still walks, she'll never be forgotten. Her sad story is told over and over as we recall the tragic tale of her ghost. Dead men, or in this case, dead young women, really do tell tales.
Ooh.
So those are really cool. Those are the first 2 years of the series, 1901 and 1902. Um, I'm gonna just say it. Jim killed her. I don't care
hundred
what
percent.
anybody says.
Absolutely. His guilty admission was
Here's what I think. You
him
want to know what I think he told?
doing what he did to
You want to know what
himself.
I think he told the writer?
What?
I think he told him that he killed her and that this writer was about to get the scoop.
Mm.
But maybe Jim knew that if he went ahead with this, and now that he's told somebody that he would go back to prison
Yeah.
or hung, so he was like, I'm just going to end it.
But he got to tell somebody.
But he did get to tell somebody.
And unfortunately, the writer didn't get to share his story. Whether he knew the rest of it or not, I feel like he would have still written a book about it.
But he died.
Right.
He died. So eh, he can't write anything.
So, of those two stories, what do you think?
What do you mean?
Which one do you think is real
Well,
or either or no?
we know the first one's not real.
Agreed.
It was doctored.
Yes.
I don't have enough information about the haunting itself to say whether or not I think it's real, but I will say that I do think he really killed her.
Yeah. And I could definitely see because of what may or quote unquote may not have happened to her,
He
why
killed her.
she would still be
Yeah, he
around.
killed her.
Why
Come
she
on.
would still be around after the fact.
Well, here's what I think. I think we're gonna just dismiss the first one. That was a cool story. It's been debunked. Good, great job. Kenny Biddle's a master at debunking things.
Yes.
Now, the second one.
Hmm.
Here's what I think happened. He was starting to show his true colors before they got married.
Hmm.
She got scared.
Hmm.
He is a violent man. Everybody went to bed. I think she might have taken this opportunity before her trip to New York to tell him, I don't want to be with you. I don't like who you're becoming. You're a terrible freaking person. And I think it set him off in a rage. And I think he beat her to death.
Mm.
And I think he hid the body. And then I think when they started looking, they may have gotten too close and he dumped her in the river.
I mean,
Now,
I couldn't agree more.
what he did with the body in the in between time is what worries me. Because
Yeah.
while you're dead, you still
Just
that shouldn't happen. And it happens
no.
too much.
I just.
It happens too much. It's
Hmm.
disgusting. Like, bro, if she can't say yes, that doesn't mean no. You know what I mean? I'm
Oh
just
my
saying, dude,
god.
like, come on, bro.
No, I get it. I get it.
It's disgusting.
I.
Even if you're a murderer, like, I could be like, all right, I can get behind that. Like, you're weird and you have the urge to kill. But if you're doing other things, I can't get behind that.
So Jim, guilty AF.
Yeah, Jim is definitely guilty.
Yeah,
And
for
he
sure.
probably should have. I don't know how I feel about hanging, but I mean, I've always said like I'm not against the capital punishment thing, but you have to be able to be proved beyond a shadow of a doubt,
1,000%
right?
sure.
Or
Yeah.
you just go to prison for a long time. If there's any doubt whatsoever, I don't think they should be able to,
No.
get rid of you. But in this case, I feel like it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, there's too much evidence that points towards Jim
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
the bad guy.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
how else to say it.
super cool, interesting stories. I
I,
thoroughly enjoyed them.
I like this
Yeah, me
because
too.
we're going to get to talk about, stories that maybe we wouldn't have found before.
Yeah, all kinds of different things.
And if we find one that we like, who knows, maybe Nell will be an episode
Ooh,
because sounds pretty interesting. We already know the backstory, but we don't really know much about the hauntings themselves other than, the vast overview of things,
right,
like,
right, right.
but it's
Maybe we could
pretty.
dig in a little bit. Yeah, I like that.
That's what I'm saying. So if we find stuff or we come across things that we like enough in this series, then
Hmm.
maybe we'll do full episodes on them.
Sweet. I like it.
But I was very excited to do this, and I can't wait to see what we can find for the next one in 1903.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this was interesting. Let us know how you feel about it. Email us or, tweet at us or X at us. I don't, what do they even
Anywhere on
call that
social
anymore?
medias. I don't know.
I don't know. Facebook us,
Yeah, anything,
Instagram us,
anything, anywhere. We're
pa-
all over the place.
Patreon us,
Yeah, and
airmail us,
this idea was
smoke
from
signal,
This idea was from one of our
pigeon.
Patreon people. So if you'd be interested in having a say so on what you would like us to do on the show, come over and join our Patreon. We do an extra podcast over there called Behind the Booze, and we have a lot of fun over there. We love
Yeah,
it.
we find very interesting ghost stories from everyday people, and we read them. And sometimes are really good. I'm not gonna lie; some of the stories are
Yes.
amazing and well written.
Those are few and far between.
Yes, most of them are a train wreck.
Yes, but we enjoy reading them and making fun of them nonetheless.
Yeah, and sometimes they're just people who are literally writing a story,
Hmm.
and those are honestly my favorite ones.
They are good.
They're
And
so
we
good.
sometimes do little mini episodes over there too.
Yep, yep. We've done one. There will be more to come, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So if you like the idea of that and you just want to help support the show, Patreon for the booze underscore podcast
that's
over
right.
there. And also that is everywhere you can find us on social media. While we haven't posted in a while, if you do want to get a hold of us or suggest something, you can reach out on any platform
Or write to us at forthebooze12 at gmail.com.
at gmail.com.
That's us
Yeah, gmail.com.
over there on gmail.com.
But this was fun. I
Yeah,
like
I
this.
like
We're
this.
definitely going to be doing this again. And don't forget, if you're one of the folks watching this on YouTube, come back tomorrow. We are going to be doing another full episode tomorrow. And tomorrow is a full episode. It is long and it is
Yes.
very interesting.
And anybody listening on Spotify, you can watch these live on YouTube.
That's right, because they're going to be saved. They're live. So you can
Absolutely.
come watch us be not good at our job. Anyways, take us out of here, babe, so we can get up.
Well, thank you, everybody, so much for listening. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.
I really hope Jim didn't, And those are the stories of 1900 and 1901. I really like doing
You
that.
can sing 1901 and 1902.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, whatever. I mean, if you listen to it, I'll
It's
say
all
it in the
good.
beginning.
It's all good.
And my little plug there at the end. I really hope he didn't do anything disgusting with
I
the
know.
bodies because that's freaking gross, man.
Yeah. Well, hello, YouTube friends. We're back on the live.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions or suggestions or just want to talk about what we just talked about, that's cool. We can hang out for about 10 more minutes and
Yeah.
then I gotta eat, bro. I'm
I'm
so
hungry.
hungry.
I'm hungry.
Takes a lot to fill the tank, man. I still gotta work out.
Yeah.
I gotta wait for it to stop being 100 degrees outside though.
Yeah, it's hot right now.
Yeah, it's
It's so hot.
balls hot.
Okay.
Balls hot out there.
It is. It's gross out.
I do think in the future, though, I'm going to look more into this Nell Cropsey thing because it sounds very interesting.
It is an
I
interesting
wonder if I
story.
could find like a picture of the house or something.
Mm, it's a good idea.
Nell Cropsey. Oh, she has a song about her.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That's
a
an
beautiful
article.
house.
Oh, bro,
Let me see.
that is a gorgeous house.
Let me see if I can bring this up and show this off on here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a very cool. It's like a farmhouse, but in it's in it's in Carolinas. I keep wanting to say um New York because that's where it started.
Yeah. You got to switch over thingy.
I, I know.
Okay.
I know how to do this.
Okay. Jeez.
Louise. I
Hmm.
need to find whatever how to work.
It's such a pretty house. Oh my
It's
goodness.
really cool looking.
Yeah.
So I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but it's this house right here. I can probably blow this up a little bit, honestly. I don't want to do all that though, because then I'm gonna lose my. But it's a very cool house.
It
I
is.
love these old houses like
Me
this,
too. Me too.
and it is a true story. Here's Nell. This is Nell. She's pretty.
She's
Yeah, she is
pretty.
pretty.
Yeah.
Usually the women back then are like, she's not bad. She's pretty good looking. So maybe we'll look more into that.
Super cool. No, I enjoyed that.
Maybe maybe I can find like a little short um like video on the haunting.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
See what I can find. Everybody's watching me do this. I don't like that. All right, let's check this out. This is, just a little 7-minute video.
Sweet. Interesting choice of music.
Very haunting.
Today's story takes us back to the turn of the century in December 1901 in Elizabeth City, North Carolina.
That beginning music was really
This
loud.
little
Yeah.
town would become the center of a shocking murder case. Nell Maud Cropsey was born in July 1882 in
Yeah,
Brooklyn,
man,
New York,
she's
to
pretty,
parents
dude.
William and
Yeah.
Mary Louise. In 1898, Nell, younger sister Ollie, and parents left the city and moved to a 65-acre plantation in
Her
Elizabethtown,
name was not
North
Olive.
Carolina.
It was Olive, you weirdo.
Nell and sister Ollie were beautiful girls
That's what he's saying,
and had
right?
attracted
Olive.
more than their share of suitors. Nell began dating Jim Wilcox, the son of a local sheriff,
Oh.
while Ollie
He was
dating a
pretty
man
standard
named
looking
Roland
dude for the
Crawford.
time.
Oh.
Jim and Nell had been courting nearly 3 years, and it was said that Nell was growing impatient with Jim's resistance to propose marriage. In order to spurn Jim into proposing marriage, Nell began flirting with other men in public.
Yeah,
But
she's
this
a dime,
plan
bro.
seemed to go awry.
Gotta lock
On
that
the
down.
evening of November 20th, both Roy and Jim went to visit the Cropsey home. The two couples had spent the evening together, and later that night, Jim asked Nell to join him in the front porch so that they could be alone. Nell
Yeah, I
and
bet.
Jim had an argument. The fight was loud, and everyone in the household could hear that the two lovers were shouting at one another. Even if what they were saying couldn't be understood, some of Nell's family who were in the
Yeah,
house
but like
at
I
the
really
time
don't care
did
about
say
all
that it
this.
seemed she
I want
and
some.
Jim had made up. Not much later that evening, shouts could be heard. Cropsey spotted something floating account of the events
I'm sorry. I want
discovered.
accounts of the
Who sent
haunting.
this letter? Was it actually Jim Wilcox attempting to throw off the authorities?
Wait.
Which marked
Wait.
the spot where the body could be found. The spot marked on the map was very close to where Nell
I know
Cropsey's
this
body
story.
would eventually be discovered. Who
I know
sent
this
this
story.
letter?
Really?
Was it actually
Yeah.
Jim Wilcox attempting to throw off the authorities? What truly happened that night remains unknown to this day.
Hmm.
With the discovery of Nell's body, the townspeople
All
erupted.
right, I don't really care about this.
Eventually-
I mean, we literally just read all the history about her. That's not what I was going for. But that honestly makes me a little like, are we gonna be able to find anything about it?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? But this was fun. I thank you to those of you who came to watch.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. And if you want more, don't forget 4:30 tomorrow. Come on back.
That's right. We'll be doing another episode
That's
tomorrow.
right. Let's
I'm
go.
really excited about tomorrow too.
Let's go. I'm hungry.
I know, me too.
I need to eat quesadilla.
Mm,
Homemade salsa.
yeah. Oh yeah. So excited.
All right,
Well,
guys.
thanks everybody.
We'll catch you on the next
See you
one.
next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Now?
Mm-hmm.
Now?
Mm-hmm.